Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Andy in Singapore. Today we are going to take a very quick look at the GA-2200. So this is a watch that was loaned in to me by our boutique. Thank you very much, Eric and your team, for so kindly loaning me all these watches for my video reviews. So this one here, as I mentioned in my unboxing video, it is a relatively new release. I think it was released last year, but it didn't receive any fanfare at all. So it is very much an under-the-radar kind of a model, an analog digital G-Shock, right? They usually don't receive that much of attention. But then again, the Casioak that I recently purchased, this one here, when it was launched, it was like out of stock, and it even carried a premium. But typically for analog digital G-Shocks, they are not so popular because most G-Shock fans, they would still prefer the squares and the 6900s and all that. So I would say the 2200 is your typical everyday beater type of analog digital G-Shock for people who want to still use the two hands to tell time and also at the same time use the digital display function for timing and stopwatch functions. We've got a few different colorways for the GA-2200. We have the all-black version as well as the full orange version, and the review watch today is the full turquoise version. Reference number for the watch is GA-2200-2AER. The suffix here would sort of indicate the colorway here, which is mostly blue to broadly classify this one. And the module number here is 5674. It is still your very standard type of module. No Bluetooth, no multiband, no solar charging. It's your good old battery operated type of analog digital module. Let's quickly run through some of the key dimensions or measurements of this watch. It's got a case size of 47.2 millimeters and a thickness of 12.9 millimeters. So compared to my daily wearer, which is a GA-700, you would see that this one here is not quite in the XL size category. Alright, it's dwarfed by my GA-700. And in terms of thickness, whoa, this is night and day. Alright, so we're looking at about 18 versus just under 13 millimeters thickness. But in terms of overall layout and buttons layout, I think they are very similar. We've got a light button at 6 o'clock zone. We've got 4 oversized buttons on either flanks. And overall, I think function and display wise, they are quite similar. Of course, the LCD panels, they are quite different. And when compared to the Casioak, the GA-2100, you will see the size is pretty similar, but this one here has got a more bulky look. It is also thicker and it's got a wider bezel. So I would say the GA-2200 gives us a more sporty look as opposed to the Casioak, which is more of a casual look to it. So I would say the GA-2200 sits nicely in between the two analog digitals that I have on hand today. It is bigger, bulkier than the Casioak 2100, but it is smaller than my GA-700. And let's spend some time to talk a bit about the build quality and the construction of the GA-2200. It's got a carbon core guard construction, which is similar to the Casioak. I would assume that there is some kind of a protective gel or casing within which protects the module from shocks and drops. And the main standout feature of this model would be the 6 hex bolts here around this bezel. And they are real bolts. Okay, they're not there for decoration. They really hold down the bezel onto the mid case or the base of the watch here, which is in black. The rest of the watch here is in turquoise. You'll see the color here is really eye-catching. And we've got purple accents as well on the G-Shock logo, as well as the tongue of the tank buckle here. And the entire construction here is plastic, all right, or resin. So from the buckle here, the tongue, the buttons, the strap, the case, the mid case, almost everything here is in plastic, with the only exception being the case back and all the screws and bolts over here. And this strap here has got 15 strap holes, and I'm pretty sure this one will give you a very good fit no matter what wrist size you're having. So as you can see, the fit here is very good because you can really get a good adjustment. The strap holes are really near, and each adjustment I would say is very small and very precise, thereby giving you a really good fit. So even when we talk about the case height over here, everything is fine. We're looking at just under 13 millimeters, thinner than many Seiko divers, and overall the size here is very manageable, and I think this one here would be a very good daily beater kind of watch. And on to the overall dial design of the GA-2200, I would say this one has the classic analog digital type of layout. We've got LCD panels or LCD screens at 6 o'clock and 3 o'clock. They're rather small, so I think people with not so good eyesight may have some problems with this negative display over here, but I would say they come in pretty handy if you do need the watch for stopwatch and timing purposes. We've also got a set of very legible hands over here, and I think they sort of resemble the pilot style of watch hands. And here's a quick look at the Lume shot of the GA-2200. Both the minute and hour hands, they are Lume. I wouldn't say this is the brightest or the top quality Lume like Lume Bright, but I think they illuminate quite well in darkness. So in terms of longevity, I would say the Lume here, needs to be improved. Alright, so Casio, please wake up and sort of look into the longevity of your Lume brightness. So I'll zoom in here even more to show you the digital display in terms of the functions and the mode. So starting from the timekeeping mode here, the next screen would be the world time. This is Lisbon time if I'm not wrong. Yep, Lisbon. So I'm going to toggle Madrid and Paris and all that. So this is the world time mode. And the next function we're looking at would be the stopwatch. So pretty standard. This is to activate the stopwatch function. Reset button is here. And the next function is the timer function, followed by the alarm function. Alright, so finally we are back to the timekeeping mode. So again, these are very standard functions of an analog digital G-Shock, and I think experienced G-Shock collectors and users would have no problems. They will feel very familiar with this overall function menu here. In summary, I'd like to say that the GA-2200 is a very useful, a good kind of daily beater type of analog digital G-Shock for those who prefer to tell time using two hands, but at the same time want to use the timing functions over here on the LCD or the alarm functions, because I think these days the XL size watches, they are nearing the end of their lifespan or their trend. So these days people are moving towards smaller case sizes, and I think the GA-2200 is a pretty good choice if you're looking for this design and all the functions that you need. So that was my really quick review of the GA-2200. If you like this watch, if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Come back here every week. Together with George, Pixie and Rolly Polly, this is Andy in Singapore. We're going to see you next week. Bye bye.